Imagine waking up at 2:47 in the morning with that familiar knot in your stomach. Nothing bad has happened yet, but your brain is already running through every possible financial problem that could hit you next. What if the car breaks down? What if rent goes up? What if your laptop dies, your hours get cut, or life throws some random emergency at you at the worst possible moment? For millions of people, this is normal, not because they are irresponsible, not because they are lazy, but because living without savings keeps your mind in survival mode. Now, here's what most people miss: there is one savings milestone that changes this more than almost any other early money goal. Not $1 million, not even 100,000, just $10,000. I'm Cash Carter, and today we're breaking down why your first $10,000 can completely change the way you think, decide, and move through life. Because this number is not just about money, it is about pressure, it is about options, and it is about finally gaining a little control. Before 10,000, every financial decision feels heavier than it should. You do not just buy groceries, you calculate them. You do not just go out with friends, you quietly estimate the damage first. You do not hear a weird noise in your car and think inconvenience, you think disaster. That is what life looks like when one unexpected expense can throw off your whole month. You are not making decisions from confidence, you are making them from vulnerability, and that changes everything. But once you hit $10,000, something starts to shift. The first shift is psychological. Your brain finally gets proof that you are not drowning. You may not feel rich. You may still have debt. You may still have bills stacked up, but for the first time, you no longer feel one bad week away from chaos. And that matters more than people realize. A check engine light becomes annoying instead of terrifying. A surprise bill becomes frustrating instead of devastating. That move from panic to control is one of the biggest upgrades in personal finance. And the strange thing is, most of the benefit does not come from spending the money, it comes from knowing it is there. That's what changes your nervous system. That's what changes your confidence. That's what changes the way you wake up, the way you think, and the way you react when life gets messy. $10,000 is not luxury money, it is stability money. And stability changes your life more than people think. Be defensive. You cannot think about opportunity, you can only think about survival. But when you have $10,000 sitting there, your mindset begins to change. You still think carefully, but now you can think forward. You can ask for the raise. You can invest in a skill. You can turn down a bad opportunity instead of accepting it out of fear. That is what a safety net really buys you, not status, not flexing rights, breathing room. And breathing room gives you leverage. The third shift is that your emergency fund stops being a theory and starts becoming real protection. For many people, $10,000 can cover a meaningful part of several months of essential expenses. Maybe not forever, maybe not every worst case scenario, but enough to stop a bad month from becoming a financial disaster, enough to keep credit cards from becoming your emergency plan, enough to stop one mistake, one bill, or one problem from wrecking your momentum. And that changes the way you think about the future. You stop thinking, I hope nothing goes wrong. And you start thinking, if something goes wrong, I can handle it. And that mindset is powerful. The fourth shift is identity. This one is huge. Nobody accidentally saves $10,000. You become someone different on the way there, someone who notices waste faster, someone who thinks long term, someone who values peace over impulse, someone who starts seeing money as a tool instead of something that disappears. That identity shift matters because money management is not just math, it is behavior, it is repetition, it is self image. The people who build real savings usually stop seeing themselves as people who are trying to get better with money. They start seeing themselves as people who save. And once that happens, better choices become easier, not perfect, not automatic overnight, but easier. The first thousand often feels brutal. The second feels possible. And eventually the process starts feeling normal, not because life gets easier, but because your habits stop fighting you. That is the hidden power of the $10,000 milestone. It is not just the balance itself, it is the type of person you have to become to reach it. The fifth shift is opportunity. And this is where people really miss the point. Most of the value of $10,000 does not come from spending it, it comes from what it allows you to do. It gives you the option to wait for a better job instead of grabbing the first one available. It gives you the option to invest in yourself. It gives you the option to solve a problem quickly instead of dragging it out in stress. Without savings, opportunities often feel expensive. With savings, opportunities start looking possible, and that difference can change your entire life. The sixth shift is mental energy. When you are constantly broke, your brain is busy all day with survival math. Can I afford this? Should I delay that bill? What happens if this charge hits before payday? Do I buy the cheaper version? Do I skip this? Do I say no again? That kind of constant calculation drains you. It quietly steals focus from the rest of your life. But once you have $10,000 saved, a huge percentage of those daily stress loops disappear. And suddenly you have room to think about growth, about investing, about earning more, about building a better life instead of just holding together the current one. That might be one of the most underrated benefits of savings. It gives you your attention back. The seventh shift is confidence. And I do not mean fake confidence, I mean quiet, grounded confidence, the kind that changes how you speak, how you negotiate, how you carry yourself. When you know you have money in the bank, you stop acting desperate. You stop forcing bad decisions because you need immediate relief. And people can feel that in interviews, in business conversations, in everyday life. Confidence is not magic. A lot of the time, it is simply what happens when fear backs off. That confidence can improve your career, your relationships, and even the way you recover from setbacks because you stop seeing problems as proof that you are doomed. You start seeing them as things you can deal with. That is a very different way to live. And it often starts with something as simple as knowing you have a financial cushion behind you. Now, let's be honest, $10,000 does not make you rich. You are not quitting your job tomorrow. You are not buying yachts. You are not suddenly immune to every money problem on earth. But that is not the point. The point is that $10,000 is often the first number that gives you real control. It moves you from fragile to stable, from reactive to strategic, from scared to capable. And once that happens, your whole relationship with money changes. You stop seeing money as something that vanishes. You start seeing it as something that creates options. That is when ideas like investing, business, and financial independence start feeling real. Not because you suddenly became a genius, but because you finally have the mental space to think beyond basic survival. So if you are nowhere near 10,000 right now, do not panic. The real transformation begins before you hit the number. It begins when you build the habits that get you there, save something, then save again. Cut what does not matter, increase what does. Stay consistent long enough for your identity to catch up with your goal. Because the truth is, the first 10,000 is not just money, it is proof. Proof that you can build security, proof that you can create peace, proof that you can become the kind of person who stops reacting to money and starts controlling it. And once that happens, everything starts changing. You sleep better, you think better, you negotiate better, you choose better, You stop living in constant financial defense mode. And when that pressure starts to lift, you finally have room to build something bigger. That is why $10,000 matters so much. Not because it solves every problem, but because it changes how you face your problems. And that shift affects nearly every part of your life. If you are serious about building real financial freedom one smart step at a time, subscribe now. I'm Cash Carter, and I'll see you in the next one.